Alright friends, so today we're going to kind of pick up where we left off with Zentangle number 13. And today I have two new patterns for us. I have Florz and Onamato. These are kind of getting into some more advanced techniques. Actually, we flipped over to a new chapter of our book. I'm excited to get into these. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. Alright, so as I like to start these, you're going to need a pencil, you're going to need a black pen or a black marker, and that is it for these drawings. I would like to talk about, just for very quickly, how to start this process. Remember, I'm doing 2 per page in my journal and just kind of keeping them in order. But you need to make sure that you're starting by creating a square using dots. This should be between 4 and 5 inches. It should look a little bit like this here. From these 4 dots, what you're going to do is you're going to, what I like to call, lay a string. So pretend like a string is falling to find the outside edges. This process may include twists, turns. It can be as simple as you would like it, or it could be a little more complicated if you wish to go this route with it. From here, remember that once we have our outside borders done, we're going to apply the same process of the string, like falling or flowing through our card, to then add lines to split this space up into smaller sections. And it is in these smaller sections that we will be adding our patterns. I've got a few examples of those if you would like to see. This one here, kind of building on the last, and this one here, building on this one. Now, for the purposes of this, I would like you to try to make sure you are meeting the size that I'm asking for. 4 to 5 inches is ideal. And make sure that you are doing this process in pencil. So from the dots to the outer edges to the zigzag line here, the squiggly line here. And what you should end up with something like this that is pre-patterned but done in pencil. I did mine in marker here just for a visual aid for you all. Alright, so without further ado, we are going to jump into the pattern making or the pattern learning for Zentangle Day 13. Alright, now the first pattern we're going to learn today is called the Florz, or it's kind of Florz, and this is more of a net type pattern that you may be familiar with from the previous day. We actually just came off of quite a few of these gridded net type patterns, and this is another one, and this one reminds me a little bit of almost like a neurographic design, but it's a fairly simple pattern to kind of use. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of draw a shape that somewhat mimics one of these areas here. So I'll pretend like, I've got kind of this area here, right? And I'm going to draw my pattern within that space. All right. So I've got this net. It doesn't matter which way these lines flow. They could flow any organic path, but not straight. You kind of want to give them some fluidity of their own, almost like a net in the water. It kind of floats and moves around and undulates. All right. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going just to create some lines here, just to show you that this can be as open-ended as you may want it to be. Great. And notice I'm stopping where my borders are because I will go back and erase those. That way I'll let the edges of this define this space. And I'm going to come this way as well. Perfect. All right, now that I have my grid drawn in, I'm going to go in and I'm going to round all of the edges here. So you start by drawing your grid pattern, your graph pattern. You go in and you kind of round all of these edges out, and you should end up with this this grid that almost looks like it has little knots in the center. Now, this part is a little tedious, and if you've heard of neurographic lines, it is very much that, just in this format. I really like the way this looks. This is probably one of my current favorites, or at least of the ones we've gotten to so far in our book. But yeah, I did switch to a smaller pen for this. You know, if that's something you want to do, you definitely can. I could have done all this in a small pen, kind of a finer point if I wanted to. But I kind of like that thicker line, especially if I'm zooming in a bit. Now, there's something I haven't done on here, and this is going to be a decision. You know, we talk about ways to modify these Zentangles like we did in previous weeks. And one of the things we can do is we can manipulate and kind of add to these. And I could, if I really wanted to, add an outline around the edge, and again just kind of fold these knots into them, so almost make it like an outside line that these all connect to. And I would round anywhere that this hit. So this is a pretty simple one. It looks really clean when it's done. It's nice and pretty. You can make it large, you can make it small. You know, I could have divided this even further. Like I could split each one of these squares into another square and make it a much finer net if I would like. But I think this is just a great way to fill space and make a really clean looking pattern. Although it does take, it takes a little time without being too complex. That's how I feel about it. And added benefit if you like the Zentangle. Alright. Pretty simple little pattern here. I'm just going to kind of finish this little guy out. Make it look good. I like a simple one. Hopefully you have some favorite patterns. A lot of mine tend to be more square-like the Nectin. I really like that one. It's like have these little squares split up. There we go. Almost done. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Right. One more little area. All right. And then kind of once I have this, again, I'm going to erase my outside line here, my pencil line. And this is going to allow this thing to kind of be floating in space. And what I hope to do is whatever pattern touches where I have this implied line now, I can let it kind of come into this space a bit, and this boundary will define this pattern. So pretty cool little pattern here. I quite dig it. And yeah, let's move on to the second one. Now, before I go there, I recommend you stop the video, look at this pattern, go back. Hopefully you stopped and kind of drew one of these out. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. I'm going to show you guys 2 patterns today. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to go and look up some previous patterns to fill in this card as well. So look back in your sketchbooks, or if you need to do a little search, you can do that. All right. So, you know, stop a moment, go ahead and put this, figure out where you would like it to go. I was thinking about here, nice large space. I think that would be a good one for me. All right, but we're all different. We'll all have different cards. All right, so this is Florz. There's not really any shading on this. You could shade around the edge if you'd like to, similar to a lot of other patterns, but I'm gonna leave it be. All right. Okay, next pattern, way more complex. Way more complex. I think this is why there's only 2 today. And this one is Onamato, and it is a really cool pattern. I think of it as like almost like stacking pearls, if you will, or wrapping wire. There is a singular kind of column of pattern here, and then what you can do is you can lay them side by side if you'd like, and this shape can be any space you would like. So for example, if I had a larger area like this that I wanted to fill with this pattern, I would just do series of roughly parallel lines that, you know, curved upon one another, and I could fill an area. Or I could use this similar to an aura and kind of let it like be a line in itself, something to kind of separate a card out. And I might just show you guys a method similar to that as I get here today. So I'm going to start with a pencil. Always start with a pencil. That way, if you mess up, you can erase. And let's say we have this line that kind of shapes around an area. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch out a parallel line. All right. So trying to keep it as equidistant as possible here. All right. Always pencil first. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I got to put a kind of inside and outside on each one of these noodle lines here. So give me 1 second. Now again, you have autonomy as the artist here, so you could make these thinner or thicker, you know, depending on what you're going for here. But this is a more ornate pattern. So let's see here. Almost done with this part. Little noodle lines. Perfect. Okay, cool. All right. So once I have my kind of double-walled line here, almost looks like a road. Squirk, squirk. I'm going to fill this area with circles or marbles, if you will. So imagine this is almost like a marble track. And I'm just going to start. It doesn't matter where you start. You know, they're not going to be perfect. But I do want them to touch the edges here. I don't want them to stack on one another. This can be difficult to do. Just take your time. If you mess up, erase. It is all good, friends. Oh, I'm starting to become a little more balloon shaped, but that's okay. Now, when I get to an area where it's going to run off the page, I can just do like a half circle if I wanted to. I'm going to leave that up to you. Be it a half circle or a whole circle, or maybe you come up with some creative way to kind of like run this behind something. And I'm going to go down this way as well. All right. Cool. Before I go any further, I'm going to go and ink these circles because once I get them correct, once I get them where I want them, they're not going to go anywhere. All right, so let's start there. Kind of ink over these circles. If you need to pause the video, kind of come back to me, that is a-okay. Might be the best way to go about this. All right, so being careful here. All right, I'm just gonna kind of stop there a little bit, and what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go over this line in pencil as well while I'm at it, because it connects the points of these marbles or pearls. Just like the way this looks. Don't want to get too far ahead without inking, because then it becomes a lot. It's like I'm doing a lot of pen at one time and I might smear it. You know, all that fun stuff. Boom. Alright, and I can, once I get it drawn in pen, I can also go ahead and erase my pencil lines. And I'm doing this a little too wet. Might want to wait just a second for your pen to dry so you don't accidentally smear your ink, okay? Notice this is still pencil and that is pen. Alright. Now, from here, we're going to add little circles into these side channels here. All right, these little strings, and just like these larger circles, they're going to fill that column, right, just like that. And we're just going to go up, 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 up. We're going to fill that in, and if you want, these are smaller, so I trust myself a little more with a smaller circle. So I'm just going to go in with the pen, but be patient. Be very patient. I know some of you guys like to rush. But this is about being zen, yo. Like, just chill out. Because I know we all like hearing that, right? Right. So the whole point is, these are supposed to like fill that entire area, so it just looks like it's completely filled in with these circles. It kind of looks like the sides of like a movie reel or of like old film rolls. Like it's got little grippies for a gear to spin. Just give me a moment. I want to make sure my demo here looks good and is understood, and I can even show it to you in class. That way you can see what's going on. All right. So, got my center kind of marbles set up, and I got these kind of outside beads or smaller marbles set up here. All right. Now, it's going to come to filling in this area here, these little off triangles. And what you're going to do is you're just going to do one circle per one. Just make it as large as you can to fit that area. And don't worry about the negative space behind it. Because when we shade, it kind of disappears. Because the attention that gets put on the sphere, the circle, sorry. Yeah? Right, so just to show you these little circles. Right there. All right, cool. All right, now the final steps for this little guy is to shade it. And for this, you really got to make a decision on where your light is. So I'm going to say that my light is here. And that would just be kind of like what I decide for my card. So when it comes to shading, I know I'm going to have a highlight kind of on these sides. So I want to make sure I shade in these areas. Right? And I'll do that for all of my little baubles here. And you kind of want to do this for every circle, right? So this kind of becomes a little tedious here as well. Show you a couple little tricks here. I'm going to go in and darken up some of the super dark areas here. You may see that pop a little more on my camera. Yeah, kind of nice. Oh. You say bless you to people who sneeze. I don't know if y'all heard that. Right, so those are the larger ones. Sorry, I'm going to go through and kind of do this to the smaller ones as well. Same thing, you know, just going to kind of get in here. Going to try to add some values. If this is coming this way, I got to change the direction of my shading accordingly. I'll show you a little trick here in a second on how to really make this look good, because, you know, at some point, these little ones especially, you kind of just putting graphite down and rubbing your finger over the whole thing. It isn't until they're, you know, on the sides here that you get some unity within those pieces. And there we go. So what I like to do is I like to use my eraser, and I will go back once I have this shaded in. I'm going to clean up around my design, especially if I'm pushing graphite around. Okay, and then I'm going to come back in and pull the highlights back out, and I can just kind of like a little bit with my eraser, just kind of fake it a bit, just try to like tap it on the areas that it would get light. And that is like a nicely shaded Onamato there. Again, pause this as you need to go through and add it into your card. I think an area, like I said, maybe that's snaked around like this could be a great area for something like that. Or maybe you have something that divides your card in half. That would be great for something like this. Or you can use it to fill a whole area out if you see fit. Alright guys, so that's Zentangle day 13. Can't wait to see yours. I look forward to checking them. And we will see you next time. Be good.